The Power of Self-Coaching by Joseph J. Luciani. Tracy, a 48-year-old salesperson who has never been married, once said during therapy, "I've been struggling my whole life, but so far, I've achieved nothing. I live in a rundown apartment, and besides working, all I do is drink and snack. I feel lost and worried about death, as well as survival. I think I'll be lonely for the rest of my life. The doctor suggested I take antidepressants, but what good would that do? My living conditions won't change. The doctor also said my health is very poor and advised me to change my lifestyle habits. But I'm barely hanging on with these habits, so changing them won't help much. I'm just a destructive person, destined to live a lonely life." Finally, Tracy asked her therapist in anguish, "Can someone like me still change?" Her therapist, who is the author of this book, Joseph Luciani, told Tracy, "All the problems you're facing stem from long-term negative thinking patterns. Negative thinking may seem unchangeable, but it's actually just a habitual mindset. While correcting it may be challenging, it can be corrected as long as you find the right methods. The root cause of this thinking is actually insecurity. In fact, we all know people like this, who seem very aloof and always keep themselves locked in a lonely shell. But in reality, they just can't accept situations that are beyond their control after deep connections with others, because it feels very unsafe for them. To eliminate this insecurity and change their negative habitual thinking patterns, it requires methods and training. This book will address this issue and share a set of psychological self-treatment methods to help people eliminate negative thinking and regain a positive and optimistic life. In the face of people's insecurity, some may ask, is insecurity innate? Why do people always feel unsafe and try to control life completely in their own hands, only to end up disappointed? How can one break free from the grip of insecurity and regain a happy state of life? The author will provide answers to all of the above questions one by one. Firstly, insecurity is just a bad habit, not something innate, but formed in later life. It originates from our childhood, closely related to our living environment. Every child encounters problems beyond their understanding during their growth process, which may make them feel helpless or even traumatized, leading to the formation of insecurity. No one's birth and growth environment is perfect, so everyone may experience feelings of insecurity to some extent during their growth process, which is a common phenomenon. It is unrelated to a person's personality traits. Some people are naturally introverted, while others are naturally extroverted, which are innate psychological or physiological characteristics. However, insecurity is formed later in life and is not related to personality traits. In fact, moderate insecurity is not a bad thing. Just like moderate tension, it can help people focus more on doing things and can become a driving force for people's striving and development. But if a person's inner insecurity is excessive, it can lead to psychological problems. For example, a child who is always pressured by their parents to be perfect may develop a fear of being blamed for not being perfect, so they are extremely cautious and afraid to make any mistakes. This insecurity is actually a distortion of reality perception. If intervention measures are not taken, insecurity will gradually take root deep in the heart, become part of the personality, and affect thinking and cognitive habits, thereby negatively impacting future life. So why do many people try to exert complete control over their lives through their own efforts but fail to do so? That's because people overlook one fact: life cannot be completely controlled. On a rainy day, for example, we can choose to wear rain boots to avoid getting wet. We can decide what to eat every day to ensure good health through healthy eating. The worries brought about by moderate insecurity will help you find some reasonable measures to solve problems. However, if your insecurity is excessive and you attempt to achieve complete control in every aspect of life, this obsession will not bring you a sense of security but will have the opposite effect. For example, a perfectionist often falls into this trap. Because they pursue perfection in everything, they are more likely to feel anxious when faced with imperfect things beyond their control. These anxieties will bring more pressure, resulting in a stronger sense of insecurity. Although control is a human instinct, for example, when we are drowning, we instinctively struggle and try to grab onto nearby objects. When we accidentally fall, our first reaction is to quickly grab onto something nearby. This kind of control is originally a beneficial instinct that can help us avoid danger and live better. However, when the desire for control becomes too strong, it turns into an obsession, leading people into a worse situation. For example, if someone's insecurity stems from others' evaluations of them, the more they try to control it, the less control they actually have, because we cannot control or decide what others say. Another manifestation of control is avoidance. The main symptom is isolating one's own life from others' lives. On the surface, it may seem emotionally distant and unwilling to engage deeply with others, but in reality, it's just an inability to accept the uncontrollable situation that arises from deep interaction with others, which is very unsafe for them. Whether pursuing perfection or choosing avoidance, both are attempts to completely control life by controlling one's own behavior. There is also a third manifestation of control, different from the previous two, which is achieved by attempting to control the people and things in one's environment. The primary strategy adopted is deception. There are 3 different levels of deception: white lies, gray lies, and black lies. White lies refer to when a person finds it difficult to say no and often says things against their will to please others, such as agreeing to pick up a friend from the airport at 4 in the morning even though they don't want to, just to please the friend and maintain control over their friendship. Gray lies refer to trying to regain trust and credibility by lying after breaking a promise. Black lies involve intentional deception. Regardless of the type, none of them allow one to face life truthfully. Under the grip of insecurity, the attempt to maintain control over life persists. In fact, there is no one-size-fits-all strategy for controlling life permanently. Often, the more one insists on controlling life, the more out of control it becomes, and the less true security one's inner self obtains. Simply put, pursuing perfection is not an achievable goal. Avoidance forces you to endure loneliness and cannot guarantee that your emotions will remain error-free. As for deception, there will always be a moment when the truth comes to light. It's important to understand that life is uncontrollable, and trying to gain a sense of security by controlling life itself is inherently flawed. So what should we do to break free from the grip of insecurity and regain inner peace and happiness? The author shares a set of self-training methods in the book that have been clinically proven to be effective, consisting of 5 steps. In essence, it involves using self-dialogue to identify one's psychological issues and then applying targeted self-repair. The most common psychological problems caused by insecurity include anxiety, depression, fatigue, and despair. The first step we need to take is to identify our language habits through self-dialogue and discern them. For example, do you have concerns like, will she be angry with me if I say this, and will she ignore me forever? If I don't help him, he'll definitely feel upset, and then he'll give me negative feedback. If I don't finish this task, it will be disastrous, or I can't do this, I must do that. Discovering these language habits helps us recognize the hidden insecurities in our minds. The second step is to carefully distinguish between thoughts in our minds and determine which are based on facts and which are imaginary. Healthy thoughts are usually based on facts, while imaginary thoughts tend to lead to negative emotions. For example, if you're an accountant and make a mistake that gets criticized by your boss, you might start thinking that you're not cut out to be an accountant and consider changing careers. However, upon careful analysis, you'll realize that you're simply reacting to the fear of making mistakes and being criticized. Thinking that you're not suitable for accounting is just imaginary, you simply made a mistake in your calculations. However, you followed the imaginary belief that you were unsuitable for the job and made the decision to change jobs. Therefore, it's crucial to distinguish between what is factual and what is imaginary in our thoughts. Making decisions based on imagination can easily lead to wrong decisions. Worse still, if you treat your imagination as reality, often your imagination will eventually become reality, which is often referred to as self-fulfilling prophecy in psychology. If you think you are stupid, you may actually become increasingly stupid. If you believe you are particularly smart, you may indeed behave smarter. That's the principle. You can try writing down all your thoughts and then carefully distinguish and differentiate them. The third step is to firmly say no to thoughts stemming from insecurity. Do not indulge these imaginary thoughts that hinder you from developing healthy thinking patterns. While saying no to them, complement it with positive action. Do not allow these insecurities to entangle you, nor let yourself fall into the vortex of imagination. There is a method to help you achieve this, which is also the fourth step of self-training. Forget your insecurities and try to immerse yourself in the present moment. When we encounter problems, we tend to immerse ourselves in worrying about them. However, if you can actively focus your attention and energy on solving the problem, you can quickly shift your focus away from worrying and anxiety caused by insecurity by actively seeking solutions. The final step is self-motivation. Start with small changes, such as challenging yourself if you're a perfectionist, telling yourself that it's okay to just do your best, and not to demand too much from yourself. If you tend to avoid social interactions, try having a meal with colleagues and gradually getting to know them, instead of trying to establish deep friendships. As long as you decide to open up and make continuous efforts to change, the habit of being overly insecure can gradually change and eventually be corrected. Joseph J. Luciani's book is based on his over 30 years of clinical experience. Regardless of the psychological therapy or training methods adopted, the decisive factor is yourself. Only by understanding your own psychological situation and realizing that insecurity is formed later in life and can be changed through correct methods and reasonable training, can you take positive actions to alleviate your psychological distress, rebuild confidence in life, and regain happiness. Congratulations on finishing reading another book. Keep up the good work.